Hello everyone and welcome to my place on the internet, where I am your host, Peter aka the MuttonChopGuy, where I jump into the sprawling world of manga to talk about a niche genre within it, known as Gei Komi, or Bara, because that's how people know it. Well, I certainly hope things are going well for you. Apparently things are going very well for me, because the last video I posted apparently blew up. I mean, I'm not even kidding you. I literally, I posted it, maybe a day or two later, I check it and it already broke over 10,000 views. I'm not entirely sure what happened or who did what, but to who or whatever caused this to happen, thanks. Yeah, I really appreciate it. I'm not entirely sure exactly what happened, but I mean, I had a whole huge deluge of new subscribers and just wow, I was just not expecting that at all. I mean, if you have noticed how my trends are with my videos, it just gradually gains views over time, very, just very traditional way. This one was just I posted it, somebody saw it, shared it, and then all of a sudden just thank you. That's all I can say. And to all the new people who have just recently found my channel, I certainly hope you enjoy yourselves here. Yes, I talk about Gei Komi, or as most people here in the West know it as Bara. I don't know what else to say.
Thank you. You love me. You really love me.
So, getting back into the swing of things, I know this one took me a lot longer to make than it usually did because I was planning on making something else, but didn't realize how long it was going to take me to get through what I wanted to work on. So then I switched to something else that I was going to cover, and then realized that thing also is extremely long and was not expecting it to be that long. So I'm like, okay, well, I need to find something that I can make a little bit more quickly so I can actually get a video out. On top of me not being home very often to work on my stuff on my computer. Yeah, it's just been one of those scenarios. It is what it is, you know?
It is what it is.
It is what it is.
But what is it this time around that I want to cover? Well, I'm so glad you asked, because this is one of those very prolific authors within the Gei Komi genre, and I do get a few amount of people actually asking me to cover this particular artist, and I'm surprised I haven't done it sooner. And everybody should know that I try to not cover one particular artist so quickly. I want to show the variety of different artists and authors within the genre, and so I try to go a little bit more obscure, then go a little bit more popular. And this time around we're going to go with a little bit more popular. So what is it I'm covering this time around? Well, it is a very interesting 2-volume manga, which is pretty rare in this genre, and it's from one of the more prolific artists within the genre as well, by Kazuhide Ichikawa, which, if you haven't seen any of this guy's work yet, I'm kind of surprised. He's pretty well known within this genre. And the manga that I'm going to be covering in this one is known as Fire Code. I do think the name's a little odd, but you know what? Let's not boil over semantics, shall we? Yes, this is the one I want to cover. This is probably a really good introduction to Kazuhide Ichikawa's work. I wouldn't say that this epitomizes all of his work, but I feel like this is a good intro that not only myself, but a good number of other people were first introduced to Ichikawa's work via this particular manga. So, without further ado, let's get right into it, shall we?
Oh man, this is gonna be good.
Our story begins inside the Genban City Gulf Coast Fire Department, which already seems like a mouthful, and we only started with the setting. While some of the members were wrapping things up for the day, one of our major characters, Fire Chief Hagiwara, asks where the fire captain was, and learns that he's at the warehouse to check on the department supplies with another member. So we cut to the warehouse to find our next major character, Captain Onizuka restrained while a tactical insertion device is being inflicted upon him. Our third major character, rookie fireman Ippo, has captured his captain to find out the truth about his father's death that occurred 20 years ago, and we learn that he joined a year ago to the department that his late father was a part of when he passed away in a massive construction site fire. During that first year, Captain Onizuka was harsh on Ippo's training with such intense extreme measures that you would think that he had it out for him. One day while he was decompressing in the locker room, Chief Hagiwara tasks Ippo to take some written orders from headquarters to Onizuka in his office. So we see the captain in his office in the company of the department chief, Todo, engaging in blackmailing Captain Onizuka into silence over the incidents by exploiting the captain's greatest weakness. His big round peach, baby!
Peaches.
Just as Chief Todo is taking advantage of the situation, Ippo enters into the office just as he overhears about his father's incident, being informed that it was the captain's reckless decision in giving the order for his father to plunge into that fire. Then Chief Hagiwara shows up to explain that Onizuka offered his weak spot to Todo in order to avoid disciplinary discharge. By taking Chief Todo's discharges,
Stop it. Get some help.
Cutting back to the warehouse, Ippo tells the captain that he doesn't believe a single word Chief Todo told him and wants the truth of what really happened. Hagiwara steps in, again, to explain to Ippo how to really get the captain to talk, and they proceed to take advantage of him since he can't resist the appeal of indulging into his vices. Guess the captain never heard of self-control before, and now has a kryptonite, or Achilles heel, to be exploited.
Oh shit, here we go again.
Afterwards, we find Ippo and Hagiwara back in the locker room when Ippo smashes his fist into a locker, angered that he doesn't understand why his captain can't tell him the truth. Hagiwara asks him if that's what's really bothering him, or if there is more to the truth than what he saw with Onizuka and Todo, just to see that Ippo hasn't put the pieces together from everything that he's learned thus far. Hagiwara makes one simple request to Ippo, asking him to stay by his captain's side, no matter what. So time passes and we see Onizuka yelling at Ippo during another training session. While emotions start running high between these two, Ippo had a part of the training course equipment malfunction by a loose bolt, and he falls from the top platform. Moving as fast as a blink of an eye, Captain Onizuka dives in to catch Ippo, landing in a horse stance in front of the trainees. Wait, is that a horse stance? It's close enough. This impresses everyone when they take into account of Ippo's height and weight, which is not some chump change thing as firemen tend to be on the heavier side of weight, but that's muscle and not fat. After a brief moment of blushing from Ippo, because we know that Onizuka is red from exerting himself to catch him, sets him on the ground and dismisses the class before he gets a call from his superior, asking if he got his present he sent him. He retreats into a private bathroom while on the phone with Todo as he inspects the present, and we get another sequence of the captain indulging into his vice with the present while listening to Chief Todo's monologues about Captain Onizuka's horny tendencies. It's then that the image of Ippo starts flashing into the Captain Onizuka's psyche while indulging himself, realizing his feelings for the rookie fireman. Meanwhile, Ippo is with his team when they tell the story of a time where Captain Onizuka was able to save a trapped man in a car by pulling the car apart like the jaws of life that firemen use in those situations. Even though they call it the jaws of death in the manga. I don't know why. Ippo starts to reflect on his past experiences with the captain, including his encounter in his office when his drunk teammates contemplate on whether the captain has fallen for Ippo, saying that Hagiwara was saying it and it could explain why the captain is so harsh with Ippo. Upon further reflection, Ippo is working through his emotions and starts to confront his own feelings for the captain. So an emergency call came in, and the fire team is on site to fight a fire in a factory when Captain Onizuka makes the call of going into the building to rescue any survivors and brings Ippo with them while the others secure their entry and exit routes. Chief Hagiwara tells Ippo that he needs to do everything he can to protect Captain Onizuka. Afterwards, we see him, Ippo, and Hagiwara in the hospital, with Onizuka resting in the bed. While Hagiwara teases Ippo about his feelings for the captain, we learn that he's been divorced for years now. Why did he get a divorce? No one knows because it doesn't say. So Hagiwara tells Ippo that Toro only saw Onizuka as a toy to play with, and using his weaknesses to keep him under his thumb, which is probably why he got a divorce, so his family can't be used as leverage? Maybe? Something to contemplate about.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
So Ippo expresses his thoughts about his feelings towards Onizuka, only to then get confronted with the questions of falling in love with him by Hagiwara. This is when Hagiwara explains that Onizuka reciprocates those feelings by elaborating on how easy it would be for him to resist anyone with his superhuman strength. He then heads out to break the news to the other old man, and to not believe anything he has heard from Toro, leaving the two alone in the hospital room. They stare at each other, contemplating on what to do next. They move closer, looking deep into each other's eyes. They can't help but quickly embrace themselves into a kiss before jumping into bed together for a good pillow fight. What follows is a story of a love blossoming between two men who are willing to follow each other into the fires of hell and back, both literally and figuratively. One man who has been blackmailed into taking the blame in order to protect a member of an influential family from accountability. Another is a young up-and-comer wanting resolution with the death of his father from the very branch he used to work for. Both being guided by love rivals, so there is no obstacles in their way to express their love for each other, while also getting a reward for his diligence from the people who sought to prevent their union. With the second volume comes new challenges for our ragtag group of firefighters who have to overcome their feelings of curiosity, new members reconciling their attractions for their idols, and coming to the self-actualization about the people they deeply care about, all while forming bonds with each other that makes for an unstoppable team, ready to take on any emergency call that they receive.
Wow! That was amazing!
The first reason I wanted to cover this manga is the fact that we get firefighters as occupation subject, which is not as prevalent as one would think within the Gei Komi genre. What character tropes we most commonly see are either police officers, military soldiers, and even criminal organization members like with the Yakuza. And you could add educators in this as well. So getting something like firefighters is a breath of fresh air, though I find it odd that firefighters are uncommon considering that it's ruggedly hot men coming to rescue you from fire or other dangerous situations. The plot pretty much writes itself that I think people can really explore more nuanced themes and characterizations with the nature of the occupation. I mean, there is no shortage of entertainment media focusing on first responders with what we can find on TV or in films, with it spanning many different styles of stories, from very serious dramas to light comedies. What I find interesting with this manga specifically is what the author explored with using firefighters for his characters. It gave me a similar vibe to how it feels reading a wartime setting. What I mean is the dynamic that they're fighting a common foe, being fires, and seeing characters express their kinship with their fellow fighters in the field. Same thing can be explored with soldiers being on the battlefield like trench warfare that lends to what we see here. I like seeing this because even if it's platonic feelings of brotherhood like you see in media, it can also work in a romantic capacity as well. Combining that with other classic tropes like the age difference mentor-apprentice dynamic, uncovering a conspiracy conflict, blackmail power struggles, and love rivalry play into a story like this better than I initially thought, or what you would surmise upon first glance. The tight-knit group mentality that Firehouses provides lends to the emotional components that the narrative payoffs are satisfying, if done well. And I think this manga did pretty well on that. However, there are some things with the characters that I'm kinda confused about. So the first thing is Captain Onizuka and how the story brings up his strength capacity and how he doesn't use it to defend himself. It's weird that it brings it up and yet doesn't really utilize it like a Chekhov's gun. Well, maybe it did and I didn't catch it, because the only thing I can think that it was that is in the second volume where Ippo and Onizuka were making out while Deputy Captain Oiwa is essentially trapped in the middle of it until he's incapacitated by the power of Onizuka's strength. And not that kind of strength. But the nature of the situation makes me a bit skeptical about it. If I'm correct with that, then please let me know down in the comment section below, because I'm doubting my assessment here. I think it would have been interesting to see the captain overpowering the deputy captain with his strength to make him beg for mercy, since he wouldn't know the captain's strength level like the team does with him saving Ippo from that fall. That would open up playing into the power bottom dynamic that I know is pretty popular with enthusiasts of this genre. Knowing this pushes it into the dubious con territory, as the captain is saying no, but really doesn't make any effort to prevent what happens to him. And the same can be said to everyone else who this happens to, like with Todo and Hagiwara, along with Oiwa and the two other members of the fire team, including the scene with the two other members together. The next thing I want to touch on is a part in the first volume with Hagiwara. So there is a scene where they're fighting a fire, and we see a monologue talking about unrequited love for Captain Onizuka while showing Hagiwara. I'm a bit confused because I thought that was Ippo talking about it, but then seeing Hagiwara call himself a love rival to Ippo just threw me for a loop. If that is so, then I find it interesting because then he plays the Cupid for everyone around here. And if not, then I just don't have reading comprehension as I thought I did. Let me know down in the comments what you guys think of that. Though it's pretty strange that he comes off like he has his hand involved with everyone getting together in one way or another. However, the other two members of the firehouse, Uchiyama and Sakai, having their moment is purely outside of the main plot line, which was pretty funny. But there is also a note of another manga being referenced that brings additional context of what Uchiyama was told by the judo club about male couplings. It's just a one shot of the judo club having a reunion, and one member explains it, resulting in the other members becoming curious and exploring each other to test that theory. There is a part of me that seriously thinks this is nothing more than a giant meme reference with the big bro title, but what do I know at this point, right?
F***ing idiot.
Speaking of which, the mature scenes are handled with more weight in the story than one would think. Normally these scenes would be used for indulgent fan service, but here they are used as a mode of blackmail and coercion in the same vein as those torture scenes you would see in those espionage spy movies. This is what leans this work into the non-con territory, but it's being utilized to facilitate aspects of the story to integrate it diegetically. Even though I'm not a fan of the non-con territory of storytelling, I can at least say that if you're going to use it, then make it actually matter contextually than just facilitating audience indulgence. I mean, there is a reason why people discuss the manhwa killing stalking as much as they do, and it's not simply the adult segments within it. With this manga, I think it was handled where it didn't feel too extreme as opposed to the works previously mentioned. It plays into the power dynamics that we see between our major players within this story, and it has a karmic value with perpetrators getting their just desserts for their extortion practices, giving me the feeling of justice being served, which I really like. Who doesn't like a happy ending, huh? No, I didn't mean like that! Ichikawa's art style is very distinct and it makes him very recognizable within the Gei Komi genre. What I love about this artist is not only does he make some really tasteful male characters, but he also posts his technique tutorials on his socials to help further guide people into drawing Bara characters. Definitely someone you should follow for great information on things like that if you're an aspiring artist. Just like any artist within this genre, our main subject we get is all the big burly men that Bara is known for. And we stand these men in this house. Thank you very much. Each character showcases the variety that Ichikawa is known for, from the hairy to the clean, from the lean to the fluffy, giving us a great cast to feast our eyes upon.
My eyes are ejaculating!
Even though we were all here to see hunky men do their thing, I must touch on something that I really like. So there are parts in this manga where we see the establishing shots of the fires they're called to fight, and they all look like they're drawn with charcoal pencils. This is a cool idea to use that for texture of fires raging through an area, and having the firefighters drawn similarly when they head into the blaze, because it brings in different drawing mediums into manga and incorporates it with the elements of the story. It's a subtle thing to note because it's a small detail that could go over people's heads, but I thought it was really cool when you notice how it was used here. Finally, we can talk about the mature scenes throughout this manga. While we are dealing with some dubcon subject matters, the kinks didn't go overboard, which would probably turn a good number of people off of this story. It's fun if you like having that stuff in your stories, but I think it would have detracted from the substance of the story and feel rather out of place in this one specifically. There is one thing I do need to point out that I only have questions for. What is up with having the characters excrete almost every body fluid out of them? I don't mean things like scat water sports, thank God, but every time the characters would engage in the blinking, we see tears, snot, saliva seeping out on top of the characters being covered in sweat. Like, I mean, I get it, people produce those things in these kinds of acts, but damn, these guys really do get super moist. Maybe it's just me, I guess. But let me know in the comments what you think about that, because it seems a bit excessive for that much body fluid production in this manner.
Ew, that's gross!
While that may be odd for some people, it must be remarked that Ichikawa knows his vantage points and anglings well to give us some really tasteful shots with his characters. Couple that with the highlighting and shading that I point out in almost every video I make now, you get a nice set of panels that uses its framing of the whole thing to create these interesting focal points that make each one stand out on its own. The panels outside of our mature ones are structured to help you sit at each frame within it to fully absorb what the character is feeling with the expressions clearly conveyed. It's an interesting case study for anyone wanting to get into manga to understand how to construct your pages to do different things with the art techniques utilized to set each panel up for that greater than the sum of its parts level of quality. Maybe I should do a video on this subject in the future, because it's really interesting how the finer minute details add up to elevate the quality of the work by tackling multiple aspects at once. And that's especially so when it comes to the mature genres of manga. Let me know in the comments if you want me to do that, and maybe we can do more of a deep dive into an artist's techniques or the like. Just know that Ichikawa would be really easy since he posts his tutorial work, and I will make him the first artist on that list for that series.
Yes! That's awesome!
Overall, this is a great manga that showcases things that, while common with the tropes we usually see in this realm, it takes an extra care and attention to details of its contents to create something that has a higher quality than what is seen on the surface. Kazuhide Ichikawa is a prolific artist within the Gei Komi genre, with having a variety of different works within his catalog that anyone can find something that you will enjoy. Of course, I chose this one as I felt like it was a good introduction to his works that isn't a single one-shot manga. It's a short but robust story of something that is uncommon to the genre, using every aspect to help facilitate the story to the fullest extent, while also balancing its serious moments with some light-hearted and cute ones, giving us a strong visual display that lends into the weight and dynamics of the subjects. We have a manga that is rather grounded and not gratuitous with its mature moments. You should give him a follow on any of his socials to keep up with his tutorial stuff, while also getting updates on any new manga he publishes.
Do it, 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 do it.
And that is it. That is all for my video. Thank you so much for watching. I certainly hope you guys enjoyed what I had to cover in this one. I know this one took me a lot longer. Again, apologies. Things have just been really crazy with my husband's work, where it requires me to drive him down to a job site that he has to oversee a lot of construction, and they're gearing up to open a building, and it's just been a madhouse. Like I would have to make a whole different video just to explain the exact details of what has been going on with this particular project, while it's also affecting other projects. It's just a nightmare. But Yes, once again, thank you so much for watching. If you have any recommendations, don't hesitate to put them down in the comments. Please keep in mind that I am focusing on looking for things that have the tags of Bara, Gei Komi, or Men's Love. That is what I want to focus on. If you have any other suggestions as well, please do not hesitate to do so. I'm also have a few games reviews that I'm coming up with. I've had one particular Discord member who actually created a visual novel wanted me to review it, so that's coming down the pipeline. I'm working on doing the Pirates as Bondo one. I just have a good amount of projects all at once that I should hopefully be able to churn these out and hopefully make you good videos. So, you know, so if you want to support me even further than just liking, sharing, subscribing to my channel, please don't hesitate to also donate to me at my Ko-Fi, which you'll find that in the description below. But yes, no, I do highly appreciate the people who do share my content, who like and comment. It really does help. I mean, again, whoever did something made my last video blow up, so I'm hoping that this happens again. You know, fingers crossed, but you never know. It is what it is. But yep, thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope to catch you guys all in my next video. Bye-bye.